I'm CK. Today we've got a module from Herbs and Stones. It's their legs, which is a bass drum or kick drum module. Always good to have a variety of percussion to choose from. We'll put it together, see how easily it goes together, and then put it in the rack and see how it sounds. And I hope you enjoy the video. Here's the bag. I'll pull the strip here, which I won't be able to pull. Of course I won't be able to pull it. So I will just cut and see if that makes it easier. Let's see. So this is just a little piece of paper to make a label for the product for this shelf, I guess. Put that scissors back away where they go. Let's pull out the circuit board. Okay. Look at the front first. It's wide, isn't it? It's wider than lots. So we've got base, drive, length, and bend. I expect these are pots, and these are probably jacks. That's probably a switch. We've got base, length, bend, and drive. That's probably also jacks to send CVN. And then there's level, TA, TB, and out. I don't know where the trigger is. We'll figure that out as we put it together, because it might not need one. Who knows? Okay, here's the board, and looks like we've got all kinds of surface mount already installed. So this will simply be a putting the components on the board kit. Now that's interesting. They've got the boxes for the pots on this side of the board, and the boxes for the jacks on this side of the board, which doesn't make any sense because you're only going to want them on one side. And this is the back side, because it's where we're going to put the power connector and have everything on the back. And obviously, if we look at this, if we take out all the bits and pieces, the mechanical bits, first we got another eurorack connector, we got Herbs and Stones sticker, and another little bag. Yeah, there's not a lot in this, is there? So it'll go together quickly, and we'll see. Got a couple of 100K pots, 4, 5, and yeah, there's a switch. There's one LED which goes, it's showing it goes here, but again, we're not gonna, I don't think we're gonna be mounting this on the front. That's interesting. He's got, oh, these are 100Ks, and the blue base ones are B104s, so they're 10Ks. But I mean, we're not going to mount them here. So I'm trying to fit this in my head. I don't know where this LED goes or why it goes, because I don't see the LED poking through the front anywhere. Now again, I'm just going to make an assumption that this all goes on this side, because that's the only way that makes sense, really. So if that goes like that, and then I put my LED in the place where it goes, and I have a jack here, just trying to figure it out. Then when I put all that together, that silly thing isn't flat, there we go. So that LED could go through there, and there doesn't seem to be, well, there'll be a pot that goes in bend, Probably one of these blue ones, one of the 10K ones. Again, I think there's a build guide. I sure hope there is, because I want to make sure I get the pots in the right place. I don't care about much else other than that. So that could go something like that. But the length is an LED? I mean, it can't be anything else because you can't put a pot there. And interestingly, a couple of things. This is all interesting because they didn't include any caps for the potentiometers for the variable resistors. Oh yeah, there's the LED does go through the length. So we've got, oh okay, and this one is going to be this other blue one. You can tell the blue ones are just poking through, so the other one will be on the level point right there. So these will all be the 100Ks, but again, there's no knob caps. Well, that's not nice. I may cannibalize it from a kit I don't use very often. I mean, a module I don't use very often. But that's it. It's going to be a very quick build, as you can see, and I will look to see if there's a build guide, and I will also find out. I'll send a note to him and say, why didn't I get any potentiometer knobs? So we'll get the soldering iron heated up and put this thing together. So I scrounged a couple of knobs from a module I don't use very often. So we'll go ahead and start putting this thing together, and yeah, they do have a build guide. It's minimal, which it should be, because this is a very minimal amount of work that one would do. So we'll put everything on. Put the pots on first, because they're the clicky ones. The legs are a little clicky, so they, oops. Leg is bent. Legs are a little clicky, so if you put the jacks on before you put the pots on, the jacks will probably bounce out with the impact of the pot going through the board and clicking in place. That's just the voice of having chased jacks across the floor speaking. These two blue ones down here, and that leg is a little bent too. Oh, come on, guys. Go through. Who is holding me up here? This leg? Bend those in a little bit more. Ah, that went in. Why did that go in with so much difficulty? I don't know, but it did. Now put the jacks on. Oops, the LED decided to flee the area. Actually, I forgot to put the pin headers for the power on, so I'll do that now. And to make it easier on myself, I'll put them in the power connector, because it's two 5-pin single lines instead of a dual. So oh, I did that backwards. I'm such an idiot. Do it right ways round. Okay. So I just put that in there like so. Find a piece of solder. I don't have a piece of solder handy, of course. Sure, yeah, that's all. It's all crooked. So to straighten it up, I'll just heat that up, press down on it, and it straightens right up. Okay, so that's there. Now we can move on to putting the panel itself on. Make sure everything is gonna fit well. Oh, there's lots of space around all these components. Okay, so that's a very easy fit. Put my little clamp on here. And now just solder all these guys down, and we'll, of course, play that back in fast motion. So I've got everything except the LED soldered, so I'm going to take this clamp off and put it away, and then put some panel nuts on to keep everything together while I decide what I want to do with this LED, because as you may be able to see here, I can go all the way out, I can go a little bit out. I think I'll go ahead and make it go all the way out because everything's kind of sticking out. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now, one thing you want to be very careful of when you're doing this is as you can see, there's a whole bunch of surface mount components already mounted on the board. So you want to be very careful when you're playing around, say at these pins or these pins, that you don't touch any of the resistors or capacitors that are already mounted on the board. So that is all soldered. Now I'll go ahead and put all the rest of the panel nuts on. There's all the panel nuts on. I had an extra panel nut, which is interesting. Now we'll turn all the pots fully counterclockwise and put our swiped, cannibalized from another module knobs on. All the knobs turn. Switches. LED, it's a little too bulky, but that's okay. I'm going to do one more thing before I call it I'm going to go through and make sure I got all the connections soldered and soldered appropriately. And I do. So there's the front. There's the side, there's the back, other side, the top, and the bottom. Now we'll put it in the rack and see how it kick drums. Now let's power it on, see if anything catches on fire. No fire. I do have the LFO going. So it looks like we're pulling 8 milliamps on the plus 12. And 5 on the minus 12. So that's at the LFO really slow. I'm going to change this over here. So there's the bass sound, and you can see the LED going off. Bass up. real short length, real long length. Let me turn the LFO down a little bit. Length doesn't, unless you go really short, it doesn't seem to do a whole lot, but that's okay. Turn that back up a little bit more. Do some drive. Oh, and level. That's interesting. We're getting almost 10 milliamps. This is a very low power device. Now we'll take bend down. Bend all the way down is very... Take drive back out. I'm going to flick this switch. I don't even know what it does. I'm going to try something else here. Let me cool this down for a sec. I'm going to put my... What do I want to do here? I'm going to put this in bass, put the another sequencer in bass, and let me set that up. Sorry, I'm confused as to where my wires are going. I'm going to take this wire, which is going to in, and take that over to my multi-out and put it back in here, and then duplicate it with the multi onto, yep, that's not what I wanted to do. Grab another cable from somewhere. Where's the end of this one going? Okay. What the? Take the clock out. I'm sorry. I'm confusing myself. So I want the output to go of my sequencer to go into bass, and then I'm going to trigger on the same clock that I'm using elsewhere, right here. I'm going to change the sequencer . You can hear the bass changing a little bit. I'm going to take that back up. Okay, I'm going to take that and put it in length. So the bass doesn't change significantly. So what I'm going to do now is go into length from my LFO. So you can hear it changing the length. Create some interesting rhythmic stuff. Let me go into bend. You can probably hear it. Works better going slow. Now going to drive. So you can see there's good variability to the edginess of the thing. Now I want to see TBB, I forget what that's supposed to be. I'm going to put another LFO into length. And one more LFO into bend. That all sounds pretty good. So I'm going to try and go into bass again from my sequencer. Actually, I'm going to try something else here. I'm going to plug bass into my MIDI keyboard and my MIDI thing. So it does tune it. We go down here. So that's what we got. You can tell the drive is really interesting thing to change with the LFO. I'm going to go back into sequencer. Now I'm going to do one more thing. Where's my other LFO output? I don't have one. So go into the multi and go into A and B both at the same time. So as you can hear, there's a lot of sonic possibilities with it. Sounds pretty good, pretty simple to use. Nice to have the ability to plug in 4, 5, 6 LFOs or whatever and make some changes. I am very, very, very surprised at the low power draw. It's showing a peak of 14 milliamps, which is really nothing. 8 milliamps on the negative rail. Nothing on the positive. I mean, nothing on the positive 5. But this is really power efficient. I like that. If you're running low on power budget on a portable unit, for example, this would be a great one. So as you saw, mostly surface mount already done. Unfortunately, the knobs weren't with the package. I sent a note to Thonk to see if they can double check their other stock to make sure they're in there. Putting the knobs and jacks was easy because the holes in the faceplate are not very tight, so it's easy to slide the panel on. And that's it. And I hope you enjoyed the video.